This is on I-17 in Arizona. I'm gonna show you a bunch of these posts, guardrail posts, that look a lot like what we saw in Paradise, California, where all of them had flames shooting right up out the top of them and were unburnt on the side. And that was one of the biggest giveaways that something besides fire happened there. See this perfectly straight burn line? My neighbor's house caught on fire and I pulled a post. Look how straight that line is. I pulled a post from his house that burned just like that on two sides. Straight line. Notice the unburnt at the bottom here and at the top. Another straight line. Perfectly straight line. Another perfectly straight line. Just an odd burn here. Obviously fire don't do this. I'm not gonna keep saying that. I'm gonna just show you what there is to see. As we're watching this, another thing to draw your attention to is all the unburned weeds all around the base of these posts that are burned. Another perfectly straight line. Just an odd burn here. Obviously fire don't do this. I'm not gonna keep saying that. I'm gonna just show you what there is to see. You see how it burnt this divot right there? Burnt this divot right out, along with this one right here. Another straight line burn. Unburned on this side, burned on that side. Here's another good straight line burn. So John Knox, cultivate your common sense. This one's a perfect, all the way up and down. Straight line. And it's really burned. Well, it's not charcoal yet, but it's burned enough that you can clearly see. Fire don't do that. So John Knox and Jamie Lee kind of put their heads together and came up with a plausible explanation as to why these light up. Here's another example. Burnt in the middle of the bush, unburnt on the edges. Middle burnt, edges up. I have a... Make note of that which I just showed you, these tufts of grass where they're burned in the middle and leave an unburned ring around the edge. This is going to be a pattern compilation video, so I just wanted to bring your attention to that so it's on your radar. I have a video that I took yesterday that shows multiple examples of this. Straight line burn. The unburned patch here at the bottom. So Jamie Lee, and there's a pretty good straight line burn right there. John Knox here, this one, you can see how this one did turn to charcoal right there. As soon as it focuses, you'll see that. But it's not gonna, because for whatever reason, it's not wanting to. There we go. So all the way around the edge on this one is charcoaled, with the top being unburnt, and another perfect straight line burn. What they determined is that this rail works as an antenna to draw the electricity, the ground current that's going through the ground. And the liquid that they use on these that gives them protection from the weather rot protection, like an oil. That oil works as a conductor of electricity. And that's why in Paradise, California, this one you can see it's charcoaled there. It's taken a little bit out right there. In Paradise, oh, and by the way, this wasn't like this a month ago, okay? These have all happened within the last month or so. I've traveled to Arizona often enough that it's absolutely certain these happen within a few months. These weren't like this for very long. Straight line burns on like all of them. Perfectly straight line burn on all of them. This one's got a little bit of charcoal up top where it's missing a piece of the post that's burnt away. I'm trying to talk fast and move fast because I don't think the highway patrol would appreciate me parking my truck on the side of this pass, where as you can see, there's not a lot of room. Anyway, they might understand. I just want to document this and be gone. And then I'll bloviate a little bit more about it later. So let's run down the road here. There's another good straight line burn. Run down the road and catch a couple more of these. That one's got another good straight line burn right there. A little bit missing out of it right here. And there's a couple more that got some more anomalies, like check this one out. This one just got all sorts of funky and charcoaled it right here. And just kind of popped that piece out. This one's got a pretty straight line burn, some charcoaled up top. That's kind of a pattern we're seeing with these. Charcoaled right here on this corner for whatever reason. And all of these, burnt in the middle, unburnt on the edge. Ash in the middle, unburnt on the edge. Again, but it hits sporadically. Why didn't it hit that one? Another straight line burn. So this is a natural occurrence. Well, somewhat natural. I should say it's not directed energy weapons, because this energy seems to pop up in random places that are just obscure here and there and everywhere. So there is part of this phenomenon, this one's way charcoaled out inside, that is not directed energy weapon. It is a random energy that is not being directed, it's just popping up here and there and everywhere. This one again, burnt in the middle, unburnt on the outside. Burnt in the middle, unburnt on the outside. Each one of these clumps of grass has a root ball below it that draws the electricity up from the ground. So I'm gonna try and run down here and show you some more of these real quick. We'll just keep the camera rolling while I cruise on down here where it looks like we got a lot more straight line burns. And just, you know, random burn patterns here and there. So it was electricity. Another straight line burn. And we're off. Off to the plasma races. Perfect straight line burn. Ooh, you even got the 90-degree right here. How cool is that? One side of a cube. You got the perfect 90 right there. And right here. And it runs all the way down. Pretty awesome sauce. Soon, everyone will know this. Soon, you will not be the only one that knows this because you watch some guy's YouTube. I suspect a lot of you are probably seeing this around your area. But I did a video yesterday that talks about the mind's eye and how your eyes can work just as well as the next guy, but you can't see what he can see because your mind will not allow you to see it. Wow, that was weird. It's like it jumped frames. Anyway, so we got some charcoal action going on in here. A pretty straight line burn going down here. A perfect straight line burn going down here. Soon, everyone will see this. It's not going away. It's not a one-time phenomenon. It's increasing at a very rapid rate. You can see it charcoaled out in between these two pieces. Got another, oh no, that one burned both sides. It's kind of a rarity. Here's a piece that fell off. Had the bolt going through there. So in Paradise, California, it definitely, absolutely, positively was directed energy weapons, and it was an attack, a militarized attack. That's why you saw a Cal Fire with a 50 caliber rifle mounted to the top of their truck and a scope on top of it with a guy who had his shoulder butted up to the rifle. And he was looking through the scope. Maybe he wasn't. Anyway, it was manned by a guy. So when you see that, along with all the other anomalies, like the cars that got pulled over using their GPS, parked them nose to tail using their OnStar system, something no one would do in a situation like that. People do not pull over in a uniform way, nose to tail, and burn to death. They plow through intersections and hit each other in the intersection. So anyway, Paradise, California was a directed energy weapon attack. We saw this type of burn phenomenon on all the posts. And the same energy that was used in that attack is being undirected, just popping up here and there, all over, increasingly. Let's go check this one last pole and then be out of here. Notice how it stops right here. Now I'm going to show you a video of a different guardrail that burned very similarly to what you see here, where the vertical post is burned, but the mounting block that attaches the vertical post to the guardrail is not burned, where you see that straight line in between the two. One other pattern that I'll leave out before we jump away from this video is that we saw this pattern that you're looking at here on a couple of the previous posts. There's a nail right there. And I believe that nail may be why you're seeing the burn pattern that you are right there. There's the nail. And that's why it seems to have burned stronger between the mounting block and the vertical post. Because the nail is the conductor of the electricity. And as you heard, this is at a point in my life about 4 or 5 years ago, I'll have to look to tell you how old this video was, where I had learned and grown and developed my understanding of this plasma fire phenomenon beyond directed energy weapons, and was coming to the realization that these are popping up everywhere, the same exact burn patterns as what we saw in Paradise, in non-directed, unintentional, not weaponized places, randomly and sporadically, so often, so abundant, that it's clearly not directed and weaponized or intentional. Which brings a question about, were any of those original fires like Paradise, California, weaponized and directed? Or were we given some things to make us perceive it as such? Like put out this photo of a guy on a Cal Fire truck with a rifle. Show them a line of cars all lined up. Lead them to believe that someone is in control of this with their hand on the button, and so thus they think that someone's in control, and they rely on the government to find that bad guy, to keep them from recognizing this is under nobody's control.
The video we just watched was a video from 4 years ago, unexplainable straight line burns on guardrail post on Arizona Highway 17, and it has 205 views. This one is titled Cultivate Your Common Sense Like John Knox, Plasma Fires from Phoenix to Flagstaff. It was 5 years ago and it has 51 views. And in this video, I'll just scrub through it real quick for you. I'm showing you plasma fire all around. And as the sun goes down and we start to lose light, that's when I stumble upon the guardrail here. And then I turn the light on my phone so we can actually see what we're looking at. Which is kind of turning. Here you can see the scorched soil around the base of this bush. Again, just another signature of the same pattern. Here's one final interesting pattern I'm seeing already, even with the low lighting. This one's burnt to where it's blackened and this piece is untouched. Likewise with this one and this one. And we saw these in the Paradise fires where these things were burning from the top like a torch. And the guy who has the catchphrase, cultivate your common sense, John, forget what his name is, but I'll include a link and in the description if I can find him. Cultivate your common sense, John Knox, K-N-O-X. He's the one that shows you these burning and describes the fire retardant that they use in it and how and why it works that way. So the electricity coming up blackened that one because there's a disconnect between these two pieces. That's why that one's black and that one's brown. They all started out like this, both equally the same color. Some burn like this one and then it skips one and then it hit that one. But you can see, here's a little bit more of the uneven burn pattern. Oh, hey, what do you know? There we go. I don't want to catch that spider. But yeah, this is very telling. Burned, unburned. Skip one. Burned and unburned, because the burn is coming from below. So these are the same effects that we saw in Paradise, California, where the posts on these guardrail, and why it happens to skip every other one almost consistent. In fact, it is. This one hit, that one's unhit. That one's hit, that one's unhit. That one's hit, same thing going back. This one's hit, that one's unhit. I'll show you all of them on the way back. It's consistently every other one, which is kind of turning my brain to pure gravy. Why it hit that one and not this one, and then that one. They all started out just like this, equally unburned. And for some reason it hit every other one. Talk about brain gravy. Pure gravy. This one, just like the other one, we got some a bush at the bottom that gave the inconsistent burn pattern here. But it doesn't have this effect like this, where this is black and this is brown. And then it skips one, and then it hits one. And then it skips one, and then it hits one. Wow, this is kind of a new, interesting take on things. This one's got burn here, and I'm not sure why, but I'm gonna just show you the rest of this pattern because it is interesting that it hit literally every other one. This one got a little bit of the inconsistency, but the black-brown, this one's a miss. That one's a hit. That one's a miss. That one's a hit. That one's a miss. Why it hit every other one, I don't know. That's kind of turning my brain to gravy. Here's some more of that inconsistent burn pattern. Probably having to do with the bolt that works as a conductor. So that one's a miss. That one's a hit. Miss. Hit. Bizarre that it's every other one. Maybe it has something to do with the construction. They actually put a ground wire in every other one or something. But that's what's happened here.
I believe the reason for this pattern where it's every other post that burns in this fashion is because they put a piece of rebar going down into the ground to give it more resistance. And by doing it on every other post, it gives the guardrail a shock absorption effect. If you put that piece of rebar, that reinforcing piece of steel or whatever goes down into the ground on every post, it would give the guardrail too much resistance and transfer the shock absorption to the person in the car, like hitting a brick wall that doesn't even budge. If you don't put any rebar in any of the pieces, when a car hits that guardrail, it'll snap off those wooden posts and the car will keep going. By putting a piece of rebar in every other post, it gives it enough resistance to keep the car on the road, but also allows the guardrail to move and absorb some of the shock when one of those posts snaps off and the one on either side of it does not, because it's got the rebar. I believe that is probably the reason why we see this consistent pattern of every other post burning.
Like Mel Gibson in the movie Conspiracy Theory, where he says, "What is that?" And he says, "It's gravy for your brain." No, no more brain gravy. Why is it every other one took the burn? And it's always, we know, because it's the electricity coming from below, but why every other one? Without fail. John Knox, we need you to cultivate our common sense for us, man. We know you've done the study on this and you use your own brain. This one's unhit, but it's got some green. And it looks like all the rest are unhit, except for one that's down here. This one got hit. And that's why it's black, from burn, from the inside, because that's why it's called field-activated combustion synthesis. It doesn't actually combust. So all of these are relatively unhit. Looks like that one's hit. This one got hit unevenly. And we'll just work our way back down now. So these ones kind of break the pattern. These ones aren't hitting the every other one pattern like they were. Here in just a second, we'll hit back in the pattern. Here we go. Hit. Unhit. Okay, we're still not back in the pattern because that's unhit, that's unhit, that's unhit, that's unhit. Here, now we're back in the pattern. And this one took a little bit of burn also. Unhit. Hit. Unhit. Hit. Unhit. Hit. This one would be one of the unhits, but for some reason, somehow, it did take some burn. But again, fire doesn't do that. Fire doesn't leave that unburned and just kind of sizzle the hell out of this. So that's an unhit, technically. That one's a hit. Unhit. Hit. Unhit. And I'll shut the hell up now, but I'm gonna just keep showing you because this pattern is so consistent, it raises a very good question. Is there something different about the construction? The way these are, is there a ground wire going into the one that gets hit? Because it's every other one, and that would match a construction pattern where they put a piece of rebar in every other one, a piece of rebar going down into the ground to work as a reinforcement so they don't just snap off. Every other one gets an extra piece of rebar in it or something. This one got some burn at the bottom, but that's an unhit. Hit. Unhit. hit. This one is an unhit, and somehow it got more burn here, like maybe this nail right here. Who knows? This one's a hit as far as this one being blackened, and this one got a little bit of spotty burn action. Not sure why, but that is the mystery of these plasma fires. Every other one. This one's an unhit with a little bit of spotty burnage. This one's a hit. The fact that it's every other one kind of blows my mind. The rest is kind of old news because we saw these things all burning like Roman torches, like tiki torches, in the Paradise, California fire. And John Knox came up, John Knox and Jamie Lee of A Plain Truth came up with a good understanding of what it is that creates the combustion. It is the preservation chemicals that they use in these, because in order to get one of these burning where there's a flame coming out the top like you saw in Paradise, California, it takes a lot of heat. And the treatment that they use, they pressure treat them and they put chemicals in them to stop them from rotting and possibly to keep them from starting on fire. But that same chemical works as a conductor of the electricity. And John Knox and Jamie did the background research and came to a much better explanation and understanding of it than I have just given. But the fact that it is every other one consistently raises a good question. What is the difference about the construction of these or the material they're made out of that causes every other one to burn and somehow ground enough of the plasma that's coming from the ground? Okay, it's like lightning that comes up from the ground. For those that are just catching on to this and newcomers, but I don't have any new subscribers, so most people watching this are pretty familiar with what it is we're looking at and talking about. But this is kind of a new development, the every other one effect. Oh, now we're breaking the pattern again. There's 2 that are unhit, 3 that are unhit. This one almost looks reversed, but that's not burned. It's just a little darker brown. Okay, that's the show for tonight, folks. I'm headed out. It is a beautiful sunset, though. Enjoy the goodies. Enjoy the remainder of your earthly experience while you become acquainted with your new accommodations and acclimated to the new environment. Welcome to planet Zorgon. Incoming message from the big giant head. Okay, that was a third rock from the sun reference that most people probably don't get. Okay, 20 minutes in. I don't want to waste any more of your time. Deuce, deuce. You got to admit, that's pretty though. All right, deuce, deuce. Okay, on the previous guardrail video, I was showing straight line burns that would go up the corner of the post that's stuck into the ground. On this guardrail video, we have all these straight line burns that runs right here where the post attaches to the mounting block. And there is one of those straight lines on each one of these posts, every other post. In both cases, that proves it's not fire. Fire is not capable of burning the vertical post that goes into the ground, but not the small block that it's attached to. This proves that it's electricity. I don't know all the details about how it works and why it does that, but this is a straight line burn on each one of these posts. They've got at least 2, one on each side of the block, and it proves in both cases that it's electricity. A couple months ago, I put out this video titled New Repetitive Plasma Fire Patterns, where I show two different examples of straight line burns on these square posts. The one on the left is from a photo from Robert Brame. The one on the right is from my neighbor's house. I referenced this post in one of those two guardrail videos where my neighbor's house burned, and in that fire, this was produced. Video titled Plasma Fire 101 that I just uploaded a few months ago, and it's a compilation of previous videos that I've taken. This square post came from my neighbor's house when his house caught on fire, and as you can see, it's got that straight line burn right along the manufacturer's edge on that one side. Both the other sides are completely unburned, and I even go over an explanation of how this works, how it's like a shadow line. Come on, turn it to the other side, show us the other burn line. The other burn line overlaps the manufacturer's edge by a ½ inch. That's based on the angle that the electricity was traveling. Like a shadow line hitting a square post, if you hit it from straight on like this from one side, you're only going to hit one side. I point towards, maybe I should just turn it up. Square post shoved under the ivy. So here we're going to watch a piece of a video titled New Samvartaka Fire Dynamics with Vaporized Root Systems and Shattered Rocks, where I show you some more straight line burns out here in this fire in Spanish Fork along this doorway. The front tilt as the shortest day, and then days start to get longer again. That would be the day that it does the pull flip. I'm going to check out how the fire, almost like a hot light, came from this side and only burnt the front side of these all the way around the door panel. But it's just the front side of these boards. You can see this part's unburned, this part's unburned, but the front side is burnt all the way around the hole, like pretty much almost exactly right on the manufacturer's edge down the corner. That is kind of a new phenomenon I've not quite seen before. On both sides, all the way around the door jamb. Like a solar flare hit it from this direction. Some crazy, bizarre burn patterns, man. Oh, and this board back here, it looks like it got hit a little bit too from this side, but you can see it only burnt right there along the edge. Up in here, it's not burnt. On this back side, it's also not burnt. Like a light coming from this direction hit right there because it was sticking down a little bit below this seam. Regardless of how the dynamics of this actually works, you can see that it burned in between those two boards, turning it to charcoal for about an inch wide strip along both boards, and then it's unburned in the middle of the door jamb, proving this is electricity. Fire cannot possibly produce those burn patterns as a result. Not saying that's what happened, I'm saying that's how it appears, because the whole back side of this is unburned. Oh, we got a little bit of burnage in there too. I don't know how exactly it all works. I'm just a pattern-seeking primate, and when I see these kind of patterns, it's just another to add to the library of evidence that this is not fire. This is something we've never seen before.
We have entered the twilight zone. Do not attempt to adjust your set. We control the vertical and the horizontal. Here's another one that had the plasma